This is a message for President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the members of the Sri Lankan Parliament. My name is Arthur Schopper, and I am the Field Director for MassResistance. We are the international pro-family group that makes the difference. We have successfully pushed back against secular, humanistic, Western LGBT imperialism in countries all over the world, and we have raised the alarm and urged citizens in many countries to push back against the LGBT agenda as much as possible. In Sri Lanka, there is a determined effort by corrupted Western interests to destroy your country or take it by force. And their first effort for doing this, they want you to repeal sections 365 and 365A of the Sri Lanka Criminal Code. Now, the main argument of LGBT activists in general is love, and there is no reason to prosecute what two consenting adults do in private. However, sex is not just about consent, but mutual respect and honor. And sex, though a private behavior, has manifold public consequences. First, one must establish fundamental truth. No one is born homosexual, nor is one born in the wrong body. Sodomy is a misuse of organs, like shoving a straw up one's nose to drink, or using one's elbows to scratch one's ears. These behaviors are inherently harmful and destructive to individuals. The human anus is not a sex organ, and one's extremities, hands and feet, cannot serve as adequate means of sexual intimacy. The root causes of homosexuality and transgenderism have become more evident over the last 20 years, following the excellent research of psychologists and psychiatrists. In all too many cases, homosexuals and transgenders have suffered some form of abuse, neglect, confusion, molestation, or shame in their formative years. The consequences of such behaviors induce same-sex desires or identity dysphoria. And the solutions to these problems are therapy and counseling, not enabling and not political aggrandizement. Every country which has normalized homosexuality and transgenderism has witnessed a steady destruction of public morals as well as a grand tyranny in the public square against everyday citizens. The decriminalization of sodomy between two men or two women is the first step of a much larger destructive agenda. In a matter of 20 years throughout the Western world, the following terrible consequences have ensued. Same-sex marriage becomes imposed on the country, often by judicial tyranny, completely ignoring the will of the voters. And those who object to same-sex marriage often lose their reputation, their jobs, and even their freedoms. Private institutions, whether publicly owned or completely privately managed, have been forced to adopt so-called non-discrimination programs and policies, all of which violate the conscience and freedoms of everyday citizens. Businesses and individuals incur huge costs if they do not cooperate with these LGBT programs and indoctrinations. Children are often forced to learn about graphic, explicit sexual content and conduct, including homosexuality and transgenderism. These programs are pushed in classrooms throughout the Western world following the normalization of homosexuality and transgenderism. And the results of this have been catastrophic. We have seen a marked increase in the number of children who identify as homosexual or transgender, all because of the grooming and the pressure applied by adults pushed on kids without their parents' knowledge or permission. In Canada, just this week alone, there was a 1 million man march across the country opposing LGBT indoctrination in the classrooms. The same problem will overwhelm Sri Lanka if you decriminalize sexual perversion between adults of the same sex. The harms to public health and public order are incalculable. Western countries which have normalized homosexuality and transgenderism have witnessed an unparalleled increase in sexually transmitted diseases, as well as rising rates of mental health problems, including depression and culminating in suicide. Even in the most LGBT-affirming countries, health problems, physical and mental, grow exponentially worse. And this is for homosexuals and transgenders, of course. This is a great cost to the public purse. This is a great harm to the public health order. Last of all, I must remind all the elected officials of Sri Lanka, as well as the general public, that this push to normalize homosexuality and transgenderism is a larger part of a perverse, arrogant, Western imperialist program. And I say that as a resident in one of the premier Western countries here in the United States of America. The goal of this agenda is to rob you of your sovereignty, dignity, and cultural autonomy. Sri Lankans should have the final say in their homes and how their governments operate and which cultural norms they adopt, not Western homosexual and transgender interests. I urge the Sri Lankan people to press on their government, to urge the Parliament and the President to reject the repeal of Sections 365 and 365A in their country's criminal code. Protect the natural family and protect the public health and order in your country. And if anyone requests outstanding or long-standing research to affirm all of the points that I have made, our organization has compiled a book, The Health Hazards of Homosexuality, which contains extensive research, documentation, and statistics affirming all of the points which I have made. To every Sri Lankan citizen, I urge you, again, to contact your government and tell them to reject any repeal of Sections 365 and 365A in your nation's criminal code. Protect your health, protect your family, protect your country at every means possible.